Welcome to another edition of the Business and Personal Podcast, where we bring you closer to the people that you do business with. And today we have Patrick Corey of the Exterior Painters on with us. And it's that time of year when the snow has melted and people look at the outside of their home and try to make decisions to give it some more curb appeal. So I thought Patrick could provide some good insight on that. I know you're going to be busy as heck today going out there and doing more estimating. So appreciate you taking some time this morning to be on with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you? Yeah, it's a busy time of year, but I always have time for stuff like this. So
Good. So I look forward to getting some valuable information out to people that are looking at this as a possibility for their home. So as we start out here, just give people a little idea on your background personally, and let us know a little bit about the Exterior Painters and kind of what area you cover here in Southeast Michigan.
yeah, so my background is I started in sales when I was really young, around 17, and actually sold websites and a couple media things, and then I ended up meeting Brian, the owner, and it was just one of those things. I was young, trying to make money, and I was power washing for him too. So the following year, me and the website guy, we broke off, and me and Brian, are he gave me a shot, and it worked out. And that was when I was I think at 18 or 19 at the time, and it's been 6 or 7 years now, and just been doing the same job and just learning. And I feel like I'm a painting expert now. So
Well, yeah, you did a fantastic job for us. I can vouch for that, and we'll talk about that later. But
yeah.
tell people a little bit about the Exterior Painters, kind of what area you cover, so those listening would know if you could work with them or not.
Yeah, so the Exterior Painters, we're an exterior painting and carpentry company, but what's kind of like different about us is there's a lot of painters that like specialize, like, oh, I only do Rochester, Clarkson. We're pretty much going to be Flint to Detroit and East Lansing to the far east side, all the way to St. Clair Shores type of thing. And that it's helpful because when people are given referrals, family members and not everyone lives in the same town, and there's not always great painters in every area. So it's not that there's like a shortage of good painters. It's just they're busy painting. Where our company, we have hired painters that are worked with us for anywhere from 7 to 15 years, and we're sending professional painters out. We're giving just a full service of the actual job, from our color consulting to the people in the office answering the phones to our power washing technician being separate than the painters. It's just a whole Henry Ford type of machine where everyone has their own individual job, and it just works really, really well when everything is moving in the same direction. So
Yes, and our process was definitely smooth. And for those listening, Patrick has an incredible portfolio of testimonials and examples of jobs that he's done all around the market, a wide variety of different types of homes. So that definitely helps when you're going in the process to visualize what he might be able to do for you. So COVID obviously hit us about a year ago, right as you were kind of getting into your busy season. So
yeah, like right now, like literally, it was like I want to say it was like 2 weeks ago or something. The official 1 year mark was for the shutdown. But yeah, COVID affected us a little bit. It took away a whole month or 2 months of our painting season, which was hard. But there was sacrifices that everyone needed to make, and I feel like just losing a month wasn't the end of the world for us. We were still doing virtual quotes, and very, very strange to do it like that. Usually you're in person and friendly, and it was a lot of texting, a lot of emails, more than what I prefer. But it ended up working out where we could get back to work. Staying safe was pretty big priority for us because there's a lot of families in our company, so we're always worried about kids, the elderly, the grandparents, that type of thing. So we masked up and just followed every protocol we could, and tried not to break any of those rules or guidelines that everyone had to follow. And we tried to keep the crews separate when they came in. We tried not to let everyone mingle. Of course there's always going to be your hello, but with the mask, it's hard to tell when people are smiling. So it worked out nice. And then as far as like the market and what it did to the market, is it put a bunch of people behind schedule by months, and it changed a lot of things. So you used to go up to people's houses and sit down at their kitchen table, much like how we did, and really got to know someone. Their kids are running around, you get to relate to them, and it made it much less interpersonal. So we've been finding ways how to bring that back and make sure that everyone feels like they're actually working with a person, not just, a guy over the phone type of thing. And we respect people if they're like, hey, no contact estimate. I mean, I had one lady last year, I never saw her the entire time, and we painted the house. Don't even know how it's possible, but it happened. And everything went as planned. She would walk around and take pictures of her touch-ups and go back in her house. And I would send my guys out and we'd take care of all the little details. And she paid the bill virtually. It was no contact painting. Very, very interesting. So
Yeah. Well, hey, you're still kicking, and I would imagine the demands, it already sounds like it's through the roof this year because some people might have held off for a year as well.
yeah, overwhelming demand right now. And I don't know if it's necessarily like people holding off. I think there's a little bit of that. I think it's a lot of people understand the value of their home now because they spent so much time at home. And I think it's real easy to get caught going to work, right? And so you get a lot of real high stress jobs, high stress people that they just got caught at work and they never got anything done around their house. And now they're working from home or have split schedules, and they walk outside and see that rotted board or that peeling paint or the woodpecker, that they could never figure out why that hole was there. They finally found them. So we anticipate to be fully booked about a month earlier than what we were last year. So it's gonna be a good year.
So get your appointment now before they fill up. I think that's the advice for sure, huh?
Yeah, we're going on about 80 to 90 appointments a week, and
Wow.
I've never been a high pressure salesman. I really don't even like the word salesman. I think I'm more of like a truth teller, and I try to educate people. So, for us, just regarding the whole scheduling process, I meet people every day that are pushing the envelope and they're trying to get too much done at one time. And sometimes that is the worst thing you can do in construction. It is always best to get your 3 quotes, hear your different opinions, hear your different options, and then plan everything out where you're not doing something twice. And it's kind of the only way you can do construction. And I actually just redid my house, and my wonderful girlfriend Faith, she was very upset because I painted the inside, and then I had this gap of about 4 days where I could work on my own home. And so the guys, they changed a few doors, and of course it affected all the interior paint. And she was freaking out. And it's one of those things, like, yeah, for me, not a big deal, but for a homeowner, that would have caused them to have the painter come back and redo the entire living room, which would have been very, very costly and hard to schedule. So when you're doing these things, you want to make sure you do it in the best, like, economical way, so you're not overspending, especially where labor's at right now. You don't want to have people come back. It's very expensive.
And to your point on not taking on too much at once, I think I love the way we did it, where we did the siding one year and then the next year had you come back and do the brick rather than just try to take on a big old project all at once, do it in pieces
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, and you guys did like your sunroom edition. It all worked out nicely. It's a good
Yeah.
project, well timed. We even had a window guy get in there and fix
Yeah.
a couple things, and so you didn't have to buy all new windows. It was good.
So I imagine you have a lot of the same conversations with other people that you had with us and trying to determine, should you just reside the home or should you paint it?
Yeah.
Certainly less expensive to paint it, obviously. Then the question comes in, is the durability of that. And you made us pretty confident that that was going to last a long time, but maybe explain to our listeners how that decision comes in, making that choice between residing or painting.
Yeah, so it really depends on what you're dealing with and the substrate you're painting. So in the case where you're painting vinyl or aluminum and you're just doing it for like an aesthetic color change, you're gonna get a long lifespan, especially if you're using Benjamin Moore products, especially if you're using like high-end caulks, you're gonna get really good results over time. Now, that's not to say that you can keep painting your like aluminum siding or vinyl siding forever. Eventually, it's going to be 40, 50, 60, 70, even 100 years old is what we're seeing now. Is you can't paint stuff that's that old. It's got too many coats of paint, and you have to evaluate that. So I always look at it as time versus cost. And I was at a home yesterday where they had a T111 siding, which is a wood siding, and it's peeling badly, and they had about 20 sheets to change. But at the cost of where wood and labor's at right now, it probably would have been about a $60,000 to $70,000 siding job if they were to do the whole 9 yards. And for what we did, we pulled it all together for about a quarter of the cost, and they're going to get about another 10 years. So for them, they're like, yeah, we're not going to spend the money on the big siding job like some of their neighbors have done. Let's fix it, buy ourselves the 7 to 10 years, and we plan on moving in 5 anyway. So, and it's one of those things where it's a win-win-win. So the person that moves in is not getting a destroyed house or anything that's been bondoed in. It's like we're changing all the rotted wood and doing it all the right way, and then you get the homeowner that doesn't need to spend that enormous amount of money that it is for some of these products right now. And then you have the people that are prospectively buying in those situations, and the people that if your future investments, even if it's for yourself, because you always got to treat yourself like you're going to be spending this money again too. And those people aren't set up for that big expense right off the bat anyway. They may do another quarter of the cost job and reside the rest of the house or fix all the other rotted wood that's coming. You can keep it going for a while. So I always look at it as how much money are we spending over how much time? Like, are we buying? Because in the painting industry, if you do a bad job, you're only going to get 2 or 3 years out of a paint job. But if you do a good job, you can go 7 to 10. And that's really what you got to look at is this substrate, is this thing we're painting going to last 10 years? Because if it's not, let's not paint it. I actually suggest you let it get worse while you save to do the full job.
And I just think curb appeal is so huge. Like, when we made our decision, I didn't necessarily think that repainting our house was going to add all this huge amount of value to it. But what it does, if you're in the position where you're trying to sell it, it changes the perception of the buyer. When they pull up and see a beautifully new painted house, that gets it off to a great start, right? Before they even walk in the house, they're maybe going to be less picky about things. Whereas if you see an older looking house, then you're going to be a little more skeptical at everything you see on the inside. At least that was my thought. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. And I have a good analogy with cars. It's like buying a used car when you buy a used house. And the people that sell used cars very, very well and quickly, they usually have them nice and clean. They go buy the little $10 floor mat thing where it's like, it's fresh. You need to make it look good, and paint's a lot like that, where you're not only cleaning a house before you paint it, but you're fixing all these little weird aesthetic things like cracked caulk, or maybe there's some paint on some brick that we can get off, and it's the little stuff that will shape a buyer's perspective. Because my personal opinion on people looking at the outside of a home is they're going to look at the outside of the house for all of 10 or 15 minutes, right? Because it's more of like a feeling than it is something that they're going to really, really look at. But if they see caulk falling out or rotted wood, it's a red flag instantly, and people don't like that. So the paint's like the makeup, and you just spruce it up. And it looks good, and it'll look good for a while if you do it right. So.
And everybody's situation is different. So, and Patrick's seen a lot of them. So he's a good resource if you're trying to analyze, what the best decision is for you. So what are you seeing out there right now as far as maybe some new trends or different things that have evolved over the last couple of years?
So the new, not necessarily, I always think that trends are being regurgitated, but the black trend, it is, everything is going black this year. People want to paint their house black, black gutters, black doors, black trim, black shutters. It used to be gray. Before that, it used to be like this grayish color. So it's going real modern. You're going to see a lot of really dark colors, and it just, for me, when I see a lot of that, I know a lot about paint and the way it works. And that's why I'm always pushing towards the Benjamin Moore products now, because they have a nice glycol based colorant, or sorry, they don't have the glycol, they have a resin based colorant that lasts a little longer. And I just try to give people a product that's going to last, because there's a lot of paints out there where you end up with picking those darker colors, they're going to fade pretty rapidly. So you gotta know that, like, it's weird. It's a weird detail, but like that color selection comes into the actual outcome of the house. So a lot of people are painting their house black, and a lot of people will be repainting their house very soon. It's my personal opinion. So it's going to be real interesting. So.
So what can people expect in the process? As you said, you guys are getting pretty busy and on the schedule from beginning to end, timeline wise, and then the different steps of the process. What can people expect?
Yeah, so the full rundown of how it works is you're going to call into our office. Jess or Sarah are going to answer our phones, and there are two office managers, and like our whole company doesn't really have a lot of titles. It's really a team. And when it comes down to someone answering their phone, they're going to book you an appointment. They're going to give you a real time. We don't move our appointment. And we're going to come out, either myself, Rob, or Brian are going to come out and make sure that you get all the knowledge about the actual paint job, whether you hire us or not. And I feel like I give people too much knowledge, but I always take it as, if I put more good out there, I'll get more good back. And it's one of those things where if you're getting quotes and people aren't showing up, and like I'm the only guy that shows up, I it's like one of those unfortunate things, because it's almost like I need someone else to see someone else's perspective in order to understand mine. And that whole estimating process can take up to 3 to 4 weeks for some people, where they just can't get people out there, or people keep moving appointments. So that can be a very frustrating thing for homeowners, is trying to actually get the 3 bids at this point in time. So after you decide to sign up, we do 10% down. So we never ask for more than 10%, no matter what size the job. It can be 100,000 or it could be 1,000. It's always 10% down. And we do 90% when the job's done. And there's a lot of people out there that'll say, zero money down, that whole thing. I just don't think anything past 10% is really necessary for a real contractor. The only reason we have 10% down is because when you put your 10% down, you're locking into our actual schedule. Like, you are accepting that we will be painting your house, rather than doing the whole 50% down, hope the guy shows up in July type of thing, which is kind of scary for people. Once you get the actual paint job signed up and you do your deposit, then a designer comes out. And you worked with Lori, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's super helpful. She's going to bring all types of colors out. She's got a whole car full of pre-painted boards. She'll send you 8x8 squares. We'll get samples made to paint on the house for you. It's kind of one of the biggest parts of working with us, is making sure you get the color right. And she's one of the most vital parts of our whole company. And for me, I lean on her a lot, because I'll be out and we'll sign up, 10 houses in a couple days, and she'll have them all done. And she makes sure all those people get all their colors the right way. They get all the colors they want, because there's a lot of times where people say, oh, we're going to color match our house, and it comes out weird or wrong. And then you get a lot of people that they don't know how to look at colors the correct way, which is, in a lot of natural light. So they miss the hues and they end up painting their house pink on accident. Was that one yesterday? It was very, very
Oh,
funny.
man.
Yes. Yeah. He was very upset about his pink house. And so he's repainting. And it's one of those things. Once you get the color consultant booked, which is usually about 2 to 3 weeks out at a current time like this, then you'll move into our power washing. And the power washer is it's really, really cool. It's actually a steam cleaner. So it's 190-degree hot water, and it's built inside of a truck. We don't drag a power washer around the house. It's really, really simple for people to hire us in this respect, because we're not destroying anything. And that's one of the things. If you have a guy with a power washer dragging a hose around, and he's actually dragging the physical power washer, there's a lot of stuff getting hit. This is something where everything's on hose reels. They'll pull 200 feet out, walk around the house, soap it, and then come back and then hit it with the hot water and steam clean off all the mold, mildew, nastiness. That's about a 3-4 hour event from start to finish. And bigger houses are going to take longer, and smaller houses are going to not take as long. But everyone gets their house power washed. And after that, we try to get to the houses within a week for the painting. Most of our jobs are done within 2 to 3 days. And it's important that we don't, linger around for months. And coming back to the whole thing, it's expensive. Once the painting is done and the walk around's been done, if you see something or there's an issue, we provide a 2-year warranty. So if, let's say, a board flakes, and it happens, it's the nature of paint. It falls off. It's what it does. And if there's an issue with any point, we'll come out and take care of it for free within those first 2 years.
Yeah, and I can vouch too. We had a little bit of a tricky situation like you were
Yeah, in
talking
there.
about before, where we were putting new
Okay,
doors
we're
in
back.
our yeah, we lost you there for a sec. We're about to wrap
Yeah,
up here. I know you got to get on the road to some appointments, but we had a tricky
yeah,
situation, just so people know. We were putting some doors in our sunroom, and they were painting our house right all around the same time. We had some delays in our doors. They were willing to paint the rest of the house, come back and paint the sunroom area after the fact. Just so flexible and able to work with a variety of situations. I know people might be getting sick of me touting your praises here, but I'm so
yeah,
serious how awesome they were. I highly
yeah.
suggest that you work with them. So on that note, Patrick, how can people get an appointment with you?
They can call us 248-844-8888, or they can go on our website. The website is the best tool. You can put an estimate request in there. There's a gallery with prices. So if you kind of know what your house looks like and you can find it in the gallery, there's prices listed on similar homes, and each one's different. But it gives you a good idea where you don't need to be in question or like, I don't want to call the guy out because I don't want to be able to not afford it. So look at the homes. Our average jobs are between, you know, a couple $1,000, around 2 to about 6. So it's a wide range. We offer the financing. It's all pretty simple when you get down to the actual getting a hold of us, hiring us, and doing it. And I think that's kind of, one of the things that you were saying when you hired me. Like, no one ever has like cared this much. Like, called out to paint anything like I own. And that's kind of our approach. Like, if we care enough, right, and we give enough people what we want, we'll get enough of what we want in return, which is, just it's financial security, it's job security, it's just being a pillar in the painting community that's kind of unshakable. So
Well, Patrick, great info. Thanks again for coming on. Again, I highly recommend the exterior painters to anybody out there that's considering doing this to their home. So best of luck to you moving forward, Patrick.
yep, thank you.